Welcome to A Dose of Feel Good. I'm your host, Whitney Bischoff, and today we're talking about what if you took a chance on yourself. You can see full show notes at doseoffeelgood.my.canva.site. Now let's dive into today's episode. Welcome back, y'all. We are at episode 14, and today we're going to talk about the what if question and what would happen if we took a chance on ourselves. And I'm really looking forward to diving into this topic today. This first came up, I was reading a book, a professional development book. I tend to do that just to get my mind working. And there was this concept that, we think of people who hold positions of power or influence or things like that. And we sometimes question, why isn't that me? Or maybe I'm not as far in life as somebody else. And so we play this comparison game. And the concept of this was, what if, and why not me? What if I took a chance, and what would happen if I did those things? And to stop comparing maybe where we are versus somebody else. And I think we often hold ourselves back. And what I mean by that is we get in our heads of giving ourselves all of the reasons maybe why we can't do something, rather than pushing ourselves to be more, especially, not that we have to keep doing more necessarily, but we tell ourselves why we can't. And that can be really hard and detrimental because we have so many incredible things that we are built to offer the world, but we often don't give ourselves credit to actually be able to do those things. And the reality is that we deserve to take those chances on ourselves. If we're waiting to be ready for when that looks like, or the truth is, we may never be ready, right? We keep telling ourselves that if this happens, then I'll do this, or this has to happen for me to take that chance. And I think then we get ourselves in this place of we're just in this waiting game forever, that we're not quite there. But we need to do these things when we are scared, because we're always going to be scared. We don't really overcome that fear of what's going to happen if I do this, because we don't know what will happen. And that unknown can be really scary. I think we should also do the things when it seems crazy, when our dreams or what we are looking to do seem impossible to reach. The people who have reached those were also in that space before, right? No one ever knows what it's going to actually look like. Or maybe, I think of the people who have viral videos out there. They don't know in that moment that that's what's going to happen for the most part, but they took a chance and they're I have something to share. And I think if we take that same mentality to our dreams, to our day-to-day life, take those chances, because we really never know what will happen. And I think it can feel defeating when we try over and over and over, right? And I'm sure you've all heard this, but it might take trying 9 times. And if we give up on number 9, number 10 could be the opportunity where we actually see those dreams come true. But we won't know unless we try that 10th time, unless we pick ourselves back up, go back at it another day, because the outcome we're looking for could be that opportunity. And the sad part is sometimes, right? It can be hard when we just get this, no, I'm not quite there, right? Or we keep raising that bar where everyone else kind of admires, wow, I wish I could be that person, because they're reaching that point. Where we ourselves are nope, I've raised the bar again and again and again. So it might take 99 times. It might not be 9. It might be 99. But the moment where it all comes together could be number 100. And so keep showing up and seeing what the outcome of that can look like. And I think this is really easy to demonstrate with what I'm doing right here. I had this vision to start this podcast, which actually started. I love going on the radio. I do that for my job a lot, just to spread inspirational messages as part of mental health. And every time I was on the radio, I was like, I love talking. And I actually sound pretty good when I'm doing it. But I'm not a radio host. I said in that moment, I think I was a radio host in a past life and I missed my calling. But as you can see, missed my calling. I took a step back and I was like, I can do this. It just might look different, which is where this podcast started from. And I think it's easy when you're starting out that I think I have 8 regular listeners, which shout out to the 8 of you who have joined me every week. But it started out on this big push. Like my first few episodes have like almost 50 listeners, where the last couple weeks has been like 2 or 3. And so that can be really defeating, because I started this wanting my impact to go greater, because I feel like I just have all these nuggets in my head and I don't want to just keep them to myself. So I want to share. And so where I'm at now, I am obviously still recording these because I think, one, it helps me, but if it helps even one person, that's great. But wanting to reach more, you have to choose to continue to show up, because you're not quite to the point where you feel like you should be at. I think this can also be demonstrated. I really want to use this podcast to hopefully someday become a professional speaker. I think I finally realized that's what I want to do with my life. But that doesn't just happen. That's not just a normal thing. And I use the same concept when I was thinking of that, of like, how does someone even get there? Like, there are a ton of professional speakers out there. And so like, why not me? I think I have some good things to say. And I have a lot of energy when I speak, but it doesn't just happen. You have to put in that effort and those steps. And I know that. I just haven't gotten there yet. But pushing myself, like, if that's something I really want to do, there has to be some action behind it as well. And I think even beyond those like larger dreams, a lot of us, like, we don't want to live in isolation, but making friends and connecting to people is hard. It doesn't just happen. So we have to put ourselves in those spaces to connect with people. And I think that even means like being a little vulnerable with people. That's how we build connection. I like to have fun and laugh a lot, and I know I'm connecting with people when I can get them to smile and laugh. But that's what's easy for me. I think you build those stronger connections when you can be vulnerable with people. But that takes practice. And again, you have to put yourself in those spaces. So when you see maybe all these people who have all these connections, you can do that too. But you also have to make those steps. You can't just sit back and let life kind of happen to you. You can have the power to write your own story. And I actually really love that reminder that we can always pick ourselves up and start new every single day. And just knowing that whatever our future or goals look like, the reminder that if we're impacting even one person, that's a win too. Our goal might be to reach X number of people, when in reality, like, we are often impacting people we're never going to meet, which I know I've talked about a lot, but those are the wins too. And knowing that we are making progress, even if it's progress that we can't see. We also won't know what our future looks like or what the outcome is going to be unless we try these things. And success looks different for everyone. We might have it spelled out of this is what success looks like, but for me might be very different than somebody who has it all figured out at this point, and is really making that progress. But those little wins are just as important. And it's important to remember that we are learning and growing, even if it doesn't go as planned and if we're not where we thought we would be. I say every time that I struggle, whether it's personally or professionally, and I'm frustrated or whatever that looks like, I've started to call them professional development opportunities because we are growing even when we're like, what is going on? Or why does this have to keep happening to me? Or whatever those negative thoughts might be. And so just changing that of like, there's something I need to learn in this moment. I might not know what that is, but it is helping me learn and grow to get to the place where I want to be, even if it's a setback in those moments. And I think doing it, even when you're scared, every time that you take that chance and you take that step, you are proving to yourself and no one else. Sometimes we feel like we have to prove to everyone else, but every time you take that step, you are proving to yourself that you have the power to make whatever those dreams are come true. You have the power to make that decision every day. You have the power to kind of outline what that looks like for you. You also have the power to pivot. Like if what your goal was maybe now is different than what it was 5-10 years ago, that's okay. But you have the power to make that difference and get to where you want to go. And I think it's easy to think of like, okay, professional singers, right? Sometimes people have tried for years and years and years, and eventually they get there and they're proving to themselves that they're not going to give up. And no matter what someone tells them, the criticism they get, you have the power to show up, to grow in those moments, and to, again, reach those wild dreams that you're like, why me? This is impossible. When in reality, it is possible, and we can all take those steps to get there. So how do we actually put this into practice? So our few takeaways today, I'd love for you to take a second and honestly probably write this down. But if you had nothing standing in your way, financial resources, time, any of those things, if none of those things were in your way, where would you be? Where would you be right now? And what would you be doing? And so when we take kind of all of those, what we perceive as barriers outside of the picture, really dream of, this is what I think would either make me happy or the goals that I want to get to. And when we do that without any of the constraints, then we can start to kind of work backwards. And if there are barriers in our way, we can think through what those look like. But give yourself the opportunity to really dream of what your life could look like if you didn't let those obstacles get in your way. And then once you do that, really know that those dreams can happen. And what are some bite-sized pieces that you can work towards in the meantime? So for example, again, I'd love to be a professional speaker. So I started adding folks on LinkedIn. Anytime I'm talking with people who might be hiring a speaker in any space, I mention this podcast. I mentioned kind of some of the things I really like to talk about. And right now I'm like, I don't even care if I get paid. I just want to have that opportunity to grow and to learn and to know what that looks like. And so breaking it down into bite-sized pieces rather than I have to be hired for the biggest gig right off the bat, because that's just not the reality of how it works. I also want to encourage you every day, do one thing that scares you. And that's going to look different for everyone. For the introverts listening, that might be talking to one person, even though it terrifies you. Talking to a stranger, talking to somebody that you maybe are in a class with or at work that you feel like you should have a conversation with. Actually take the chance and do that. And for the extroverts, like myself, I think taking that step back, and at least for me right now, is like journaling the thoughts in my head that I just need to process. Again, that can be really scary. And so taking those opportunities as they come to do those things that scare you and push yourself a little bit. And the last one today is that reminder to not give up on whatever it is you're working towards, even when it's hard, because it is going to be hard. And knowing now, maybe when you're feeling really good about the progress you're making, take a step and back and give yourself those encouragements. So it might be, I do with a lot of students, these feel-good jars, so putting inspirational quotes in them, putting different kindness cards or stickers or whatever in this jar so that I'm like, oh, when I'm really struggling to push through each day, I have something that I can just pull out of and be reminded of what I maybe bring to the world or that encouragement that maybe I can't give myself in that moment. So whatever that looks like for you when you experience those challenges and feel like giving up, that you have something in your back pocket that will encourage you to keep trying, because while we're always going to compare ourselves, we're always going to want to do more, be better. It's just how we are as humans. But if we can really take a step back and remind ourselves, what if I took this chance? Like, what are the positive outcomes, rather than thinking of all the reasons not to do it? Remind ourselves that when we're asking, what if I were to do this, that we frame it in a way that all of it can come true. And what are all of the possibilities in a positive way if we take that chance on ourselves? Because you deserve to take those chances, and you have the power to make it all happen, which I think is just a really encouraging way to end our episode today. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you are feeling ready to conquer the week and let your impact ripple out to the world around you. Let's connect on Instagram and Threads at Dose of Feel Good Podcast. If you're loving the podcast, I'd love it if you'd hit that subscribe button and leave a review. Until next time, share your own dose of feel good and never underestimate the power of positivity.